Hi, I'm Scott Wilson from Swift Marine, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do a repair on a Hypalon fabric tube or inflatable boat. The first law of repairs is to use high quality materials and adhesives. Part of that first law is, and it goes without saying, to observe all safety precautions and ensure you have a very well ventilated area. It is best to do the work in a room under cover when the humidity is below 70% and temperature is 20 and 30 degrees centigrade. At the very least, ensure you're out of the sun, wind and rain and the humidity is not too high. It is best to use two-pack glues such as Asbond R, as single-pack adhesives have inferior properties such as shortened life in high heat or marine environments. Asbond R is the very same glue that we use to assemble tubes for all Swift and Highfield Hypalon inflatables. For patches, you can purchase an Asbond Hypalon patch kit, which is a range of shapes, sizes and colours. Choose a size that is at least 30mm bigger than the damage, or for a pinhole at least 70mm in diameter. Centre it over the hole and a mark around it. Next we need to sand the fabric. You can use a grinder, but to be honest, for a small patch, you use some 60 grit paper on a block of wood like so. Very simple. And then we sand. Directions is always so we cover better and ensure that you get right round to the very edge. The tape is on there so that we don't spread our glue too far and wide, because we then have to clean it off afterwards. The patch down here, we're going to use an orange one just so it's a bit more obvious. Naturally you'd use white on a white fabric. We sand it the same as we did with the tube itself, ensuring that it's all roughened up and ready to go. I then have a brush here. We'll brush the adhesive area, or the area to be coated should I say, making sure there's no dust, as the dust will impair the bond. And now it's time to spread the adhesive. On the can it will tell you exactly how much hardener to put in with adhesive. Make sure you mix it exceptionally well in a little plastic, this is a bit of a, and make sure it's ready to go. The brush, as you can see here, this is one that we used quite a bit, but normally this is how to start, only a little longer. We cut the brushes down so the bristles are relatively stiff because we want a very fine layer of glue. So we're going to spread the glue onto this patch. This is like a primer coat. This first layer of glue, now we just brush right over it, very thin. I'll brush from the outside in here so it doesn't go up underneath the tape. Nice thin layer. That's the first layer of two. Just double check, look at it in the light, make sure there's no bubbles or anything and you haven't missed anything. We now place the glue brush back in the glue and we'll cover that with some rag to stop the adhesive going off. Now we can leave that for at least an hour, possibly a bit longer, even up to 24 hours if you like. It must be properly good before we put the second layer on, so it's got to be off. Now I'm going to do this again because the second layer is ready to go. Somehow we've managed to go through an hour of time, so I'll put the second coat on here for the video, and again on this one here. Once again, check in the light to see that you've got it well and truly adhered, or covered I should say. Now we're going to leave this coat until the glue is just skinned off. To test for that, we use our knuckle, not our hands. With the gloves on it shouldn't make a lot of difference, but even so we may have touched something, so by using our knuckle we ensure that we don't transfer any oils or things to the patch. Now in this particular case it's actually coming off quite quickly here. See it drying, it's not as glossy. I touch it here and here, and it's actually almost ready to go. For the sake of the video, we'll just proceed. Now we apply the patch very carefully, because this is a contact adhesive, you won't get a second chance. As you push it down, ensure that there's no air underneath it. I'll then let this tube down. So I'll give that a few seconds while the tube goes down. Okay, now we can roll it. I've got a special roller here. There's a couple of ways we can do it. Some people use a bone or a nicely rounded spatula. We prefer the roller. Now it's on, we've got to make sure that all the air's out of it. So we're going to roll it across, and this will push it right together and ensure that it bonds exceptionally well. Right across the edges, and then of course this way. That's pretty much it, except we really need to now leave it for another 24 hours before we inflate the tube. If you're in a position where you must have a bit of air in the tube, fine, but it's got to be pretty soft. You just need shape only. After that, 24 hours, and you can inflate it to 3/4 pressure and full pressure within, say, 48 hours. That's if it's a pinhole. If it's a major repair, I'd leave it 3 days. And then you'll be absolutely sure that the glue is fully cured. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope your patches come out as well as mine.